So we had a big hearing with Merrick Garland yesterday, right? It took place yesterday, and I saw a couple of small clips with this. I didn't see this clip with Mike Lee.
So these are going to escalate in intensity as we go along.
Okay, so we'll escalate. So it's the House Judiciary Committee, and it's Mike Lee, and then we had
Josh Hawley,
and into Ted Cruz. I saw some of the Ted Cruz stuff. That seemed to think that Merrick Garland doesn't like him much.
Yeah, the microphones present there get quite the workout as we continue on the path of these clips.
Okay, so and they're talking to Garland. About his,
multiple things.
Right. I mean, his duty as Attorney General and what he's neglected to do as Attorney General.
The biggest topics was the Catholic dad who showed up in front of a abortion clinic.
Right.
And then was instigated upon, if that's proper phrasing. You know, he was just standing there, quite frankly, and defending his son there. But he didn't throw a punch or anything stupid like that. You know, he just... Whatever. This is a thing that the FBI took and made into a thing where they sent an entire team, I think 15 cars showed up, and they dragged him away. Remember, he won in court. This got dismissed or something.
Good.
Yeah. So anyhow, it was the stupidest thing. It's the biggest government overreach and intimidation thing. And so that's one of the topics that was discussed.
And it's so incredible to me that, we've multiple stories of people saying, well, we were telling them, and I think this guy was one of them that was talking about, we were in talks with them, and I told them we were going to come in. And his attorney was like, yeah, we'll come in. We'd already had talks with them. Nope, we're just going to send in the Marines. Not really the Marines, but send in the DOJ
Equally
and the
armed.
FBI. Yeah,
Equally
no kidding.
armed, yeah.
And take you out and embarrass you in front of everyone in your neighborhood.
But I mean, they covered everything from the Hawk family to the lack of any kind of security for Justice Kavanaugh.
Right.
Anything after the fact, there was no charges from that. They talked about the border. They covered it all.
Okay,
like I said,
so
we just pulled a few clips from yesterday.
Mike Lee, who is back on Twitter, I believe Elon said it was a mistake. We didn't mean to. We didn't mean to shut you down, Mike. Sorry about that. It was a completely mistake. We thought, we thought it was a parody account, Mike.
Based Mike Lee?
Yeah. We thought it was a parody account, so we shut you down. But it's okay. You're back now. Good. Sorry about it. Anyway, go ahead, Mike Lee.
DOJ has announced charges against 34 individuals for blocking access to or vandalizing abortion clinics. And there have been over 81 reported attacks on pregnancy centers, 130 attacks on Catholic churches since the leak of the Dobbs decision, and only 2 individuals have been charged. So how do you explain this disparity by reference to anything other than politicization of what's happening there?
The FACE Act applies equally to efforts to damage, blockade, clinics, whether pregnant resource, whether they are a pregnancy resource center or whether they are an abortion center. It applies equally in both cases, and we apply the law equally. I will say you're quite right. There are many more prosecutions with respect to the blocking of the abortion centers, but that is generally because those actions are taken with photography at the time, during the daylight, and seeing the person who did it is quite easy. Those who are attacking the pregnancy resources centers, which is a horrid thing to do, are doing this at night in the dark. We have put full resources on this. We have put rewards out for this. The Justice Department and the FBI have made outreach to Catholic and other organizations to ask for their help in identifying the people who are doing this.
Because
we will prosecute every case against a pregnancy resource center that we can make. But these people who are doing this are clever and are doing it in secret. And I'm convinced that the FBI is trying to find them with urgency.
He's convinced.
With urgency.
Yeah.
They're trying to find him with urgency.
But look.
So shut up.
Senator, if they're going to do bad things at night, our hands are tied.
We can't.
I mean, we
What are
just
you
don't
gonna
know
do?
how to enforce the law at night.
The ones that we took care of, they were daytime. We had pictures. It was light out. We knew what was going on. And those ones at night, though, what are you going to do? Can't see them.
What are you gonna do?
What are you going to do? We can't see them. We looked around. We told them, did you see something? No? Okay. We moved on. These freaking people, man.
It gets worse, though.
All right, Josh Hawley, what do you got for me?
I notice a pattern, though. The FBI
Yeah,
field
so did
office
we, Josh.
in Richmond on the 23rd of January of this year issued a memorandum in which they advocated for, and I quote, the exploration of new avenues for tripwire and source development against traditionalist Catholics,
they all
it's
have
their language,
Against
including those who
Catholics.
favor the Latin Mass.
Wow.
Attorney General, are you cultivating sources and spies in Latin Mass parishes and other Catholic parishes around the country?
No, the Justice Department does not do that. It does not do investigations based on religion. I saw the document you have.
What'd you
It's
do about it?
appalling. It's appalling.
What'd you do
I'm
about
in
it?
complete agreement with you. I understand that the
All right.
FBI has withdrawn it and is now looking into how this could ever have happened.
How did it happen?
That's what they're looking into. But I'm totally
It's
in
been
agreement
5
with you.
weeks.
That
We don't know who
document is
wrote the
appalling.
memo.
I'll tell you how it
Happened at
happened.
night. Can't know.
This memorandum, which is supposed to be intelligent, cites extensively the Southern Poverty Law Center,
Aha.
which goes on to identify all of these different Catholics as being part of hate groups. Is this how the FBI, under your direction and leadership, is this how they do their intelligence work? They look at left-wing advocacy groups to target Catholics? Is this what's going on? I mean, clearly it is. How is this happening?
The FBI is not targeting Catholics, and as I've said, this is an inappropriate
Right,
memorandum,
it's appalled.
and it doesn't reflect the methods that the FBI is supposed to be using. Should not be relying on any single organization without doing its own work.
Let me just ask you, as my time expires here, a very direct question. How many informants do you have in Catholic churches across America?
How many?
I don't know, and I don't believe we have any informants aimed at Catholic churches. We have a rule against investigations based on First Amendment activity, and Catholic churches are obviously First Amendment activity.
Well,
but I don't know the specific answer to your question.
You don't know the specifics of anything, it seems, but apparently on your watch, this Justice Department is targeting Catholics, targeting people of faith, specifically for their faith views. And Mr. Attorney General, I'll just say to you, it's a disgrace.
Well, he did say it was a disgrace, too, in Merrick's defense.
And nothing will change.
I don't want to defend Merrick Garland, but I mean, he did say that, and he said
Nothing
how horrific it
will
was.
change.
And in fact, I believe it was appalling to Merrick. And what are you going to do if they were at church, if they were at mass, and it was nighttime? What are
Right.
you going to do?
See, what can
We
you
couldn't
do?
see.
What can you do?
And then we have Ted Cruz.
Okay.
I love how they all have their. We can get to Ted. I know we're up against the clock, but we can get to. I love how they all have their props now.
Yes, they do.
Every one of them
Yes, they
brings
do.
their props now. I love it. It's like their own personal.
I think
little
Ted
whiteboard.
had the statute that shows
Yeah.
that something should have been done, especially after Justice Kavanaugh's attacker happened.
I sent 70 United States Marshals.
Let me try again. Has the Department of Justice brought even a single case under this statute? It's a yes, no question. It's not a give a speech on the other things you did.
The job of the United States Marshals is to defend the lives
So
of
the answer is no.
is to defend the lives of the justices, and that's our number one priority. They have
Why are you unwilling to say no? The answer is no. You know it's no. I know it's no. Everyone in this hearing room knows it's no. You're not willing to answer a question. Have you brought a case under this statute? Yes or no?
As far as I know, we haven't, and what we have done is defended the lives of the justices with
So
over
how do
70
you
U.S.
decide?
Marshals.
How do you decide which criminal statutes the DOJ enforces and which one it doesn't?
The United States Marshals know that they have full authority.
I recognize you want to give a separate speech.
No, I don't want to
How
give a
do you decide which statutes you enforce and which ones you don't?
The marshals on scene make that determination in light of the priority of
The
defense.
marshals do not make a determination over whether to prosecute. You, the attorney general, make a determination.
Yeah.
And you spent 20 years as a judge, and you're perfectly content with justices being afraid for their children's lives, and you did nothing to prosecute it. Let's shift to another area.
Can I answer the question?
No, you
The Attorney
cannot. You
General-
have refused to answer the
I am
question.
answering your question. The
How did
Attorney
you
General
choose
does not decide whether to
How
arrest.
did you choose not to enforce this statute?
The marshals on
Marshals
scene,
don't make that
they
decision.
do make the decision of whether to make
To
an arrest.
prosecute someone? No, they don't.
If they make
Marshals do not have prosecution.
If they make an arrest,
All right,
then it goes
let's
to the
change
marshals.
topics because our time is limited.
and I'm not happy with you. Okay, it's just one frustration after another with this guy.
No question. Now you have two clips here.
Yeah. Let's play the other one. Let's play the next Ted Cruz here. Yeah, this one.
We've also seen across the country violent attacks to pregnancy centers by similar left-wing terrorist groups, including one graffiti of a firebomb building said Jane was here.
Picture? Thank you. Okay.
There have been attacks all over the country, and yet the Department of Justice has not brought these violent criminals to justice. You contrast that. If you're a violent criminal and you attack a crisis pregnancy center, that is not a priority in the Biden Department of Justice. Contrast that to Mark Houck, who's a pro-life activist. He's a sidewalk counselor. And
damn sidewalk counselor.
He had an altercation with someone who allegedly interfered with his son's personal space and threatened his son, and he pushed him.
Right.
Now, in an ordinary world, pushing someone would be maybe a simple misdemeanor assault, but not under the Biden Department of Justice. If you're a pro-life activist, what can you expect? Well, in this instance,
okay, good.
According to Mr. Houck's wife, 24 agents clad in body armor and ballistic helmets and shields and a battering ram showed up at his house pointing rifles at his family. Why do you send 24 agents in body armor to arrest a sidewalk counselor who happens to be pro-life, but you don't devote resources to prosecute people who are violently firebombing crisis pregnancies?
It is a priority of the department to prosecute and investigate and find the people who are doing those firebombings. They are doing it at night and in secret. And we have found one group which we did prosecute.
You found one. How many have there been? How many attacks?
There have been a lot. And if you have any information specifically as to who those people are, we would be glad. We would be glad to have that.
Did you personally authorize 20 agents going to Mr. Houck's house? And he offered to turn himself in through counsel, but you didn't want that. The Department of Justice wanted to make a show of it. Did you personally authorize it? And do you want to apologize to Mrs. Houck and her 7 children for being terrorized?
The decisions about how to do that are made at the level of the FBI agents on scene.
Did you know about it?
Did you know about it?
I did not know about it until the way you're describing it. And my understanding is the FBI disagrees with that description.
What does that mean? I didn't know about the way you're describing it, and the FBI disagrees with that description. So you did know about it, but what, you just didn't know there was going to be a battering ram?
And you didn't know that there was, he's saying that the FBI, what he's dancing around is the FBI told him that they were going to go arrest him.
Uh-huh.
Period.
You think that's what okay, sure.
The FBI
without
told
a battering
and he okayed it. And he okayed. The FBI said we were going to go arrest him. He said, and he had to have okayed it. And so then the FBI, he's throwing them under the bus by saying, I didn't know that they were going to send a whole SWAT team out with the battering ram and the guns.
I'm ready for the Southern Poverty Law Center to label the FBI as a terrorist organization, domestic terrorist organization.
I do have a question, though. Well, I know this is just me chewing the fat, Jeff Fisher.
Okay.
How much money are we spending on these pictures that our senators are using at these hearings? I mean, okay. I mean, I got it. That can't be cheap. It's not cheap making those huge posters. So, I mean, is that coming out? Is Ted footing the bill for that? Is Josh Hawley footing the bill for that?
His staff gets a budget, you know?
Which means we're footing the bill for that.
Absolutely.
So we need to tone down the pictures a little bit. Okay. I don't need to have the backdrop. All right, I got what you're saying.
Just tell C-SPAN to zoom in a little bit more, and then you don't need the big picture.
I got what you're saying.
Can I just say that I would not want to be like Ted Cruz's kid, like if you do something bad as a teenager, and then you know you're in trouble. You know you're busted when Ted Cruz, your dad, goes, let me ask you something. You're like, oh, crap. He knows what I was doing last night.
Honey, get in here and bring that poster.